Lee Cronin's The Mummy is the latest adaptation of Universal's The Mummy. And as far as Universal Monsters movies go, I think The Mummy is the one that has the most interesting history when it comes to adaptations. Now, the first two Mummy movies were pretty simple, pretty much a simple type of supernatural thriller type movie. And then we get to the 90s and we get Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, which essentially forgoed any of the suspense and honestly horror of the original, and instead just decided, you know what? What if Indiana Jones was an Evil Dead? And for the most part, that really is the most popular version of that movie. Although the sequels to that were pretty abysmal, effects got progressively worse, and then we get the Tom Cruise Mummy, which was basically just really shallow, uninteresting, and boring. And was just clearly a cheap ploy to try to make the Universal Monsters into the MCU. It was really dumb and essentially effectively killed the Universal Monsters for a while. So now we have Lee Cronin's The Mummy, following Blumhouse's attempt to kind of rehabilitate the Universal Monsters images, following Invisible Man and Wolfman. And Invisible Man, I really liked. Wolfman, I was less hot on. And where does The Mummy stack with that? It's in that weird middle ground, I feel like. I don't think it's quite the bold, really, I guess, almost kind of reimagining that the Invisible Man was, but I do think it's much better paced, and it does have a much better flow than Wolfman did. And honestly, I did really enjoy this movie, but I think there's going to be a problem with it, is that I'm not convinced this was written as a Mummy movie. This feels like it was written as a remake of The Exorcist. Like, I'm being completely serious when I say you could honestly you could do a second draft of this where you just change some of the names and locations, and bam, you can have a Exorcist movie, because this feels like it has much more in common with those type of possession movies than it does with any adaptation of The Mummy, which I didn't mind. I didn't mind that, since honestly I really do like possession movies, but it definitely just feels like this was written as a possession movie, but they felt like they needed to put a bigger name on top of it. And Mike Flanagan's already doing Exorcist, so no one's doing a Mummy movie. Let's do that. And this almost just feels like it was a marketing tool. But going past that, Lee Cronin, I think, has definitely established himself as probably the new kind of rising star in body horror. With this and Evil Dead Rise, he's definitely showing that he knows definitely how to really make a strong, really interesting body horror film. Because this is some of the most disturbing imagery I think I've seen. Man, I don't know, like this is up there with, like, Substance, I think, when it comes to, like, just the horrific, gruesome acts that just we see the characters be put through. And it's really effective in that. And I'll say I think the story is very compelling here. The whole mystery that does revolve around this movie, I think, does help keep your attention, and I think it was, I think, a smart narrative decision by Lee Cronin to do, because without it, I think this would have ended up being like Wolfman, but thankfully with the detective plot they kind of added, it does kind of give it a bit more of a flow. And as for reasons why I don't think this is a very good Mummy movie, is that The Mummy feels kind of like a side thing, if I'm being honest. Like, this completely has no connection to The Mummy. Like, most of them have pretty similar thing. This ancient mummy has been resurrected. Here, again, this is pretty much in all spoilers, so all the trailers, so I think it's a spoiler, but essentially just this girl who was put into a mummy sarcophagus and got turned into, I won't say a mummy, but more of a demon. Like, this really is a possession movie, which The Mummy's not really a possession movie. It has possession elements, but not quite. I don't know, like, close to anything, this has a lot more kind of with Evil Dead than The Mummy. So, honestly, I think I would have preferred it if they just went this kind of straight route, just kind of making it a possession movie, because I don't know if you're, because I really do love that original Mummy movie, and I would love to see someone kind of try to adapt that original movie again. Yeah, but on its own, I think it is good. Just the whole kind of just, I think, almost deception with the marketing and kind of using the Mummy more just as a way to get people to see the movie kind of does kind of bug me. But overall, I think it's a really strong horror movie. Definitely showing that Lee Cronin is a director to look out for. I think it's definitely worth a watch, just as long as you know what you're really getting into. A solid recommendation.